What's up guys, welcome in another episode of Sylius 2.0 upgrade. Today I would like to share with you actually one of the quickest way how to manually upgrade project from Sylius 1 to Sylius 2. To simplify to the bare minimum the project, what we will be doing today is that we'll just take the Sylius standard with Sylius 1.x and then try to streamline the upgrade path to 2.0. There will be no additional configuration there, no customization on our behalf, just the pure project, and let's see what are the steps that are required to upgrade from Sylius 1.x to 2.0. Let's start it. What we can see here is just a pure project with the default configuration that you will see if you just install pure Sylius standard. What we will be trying to achieve is to, as I mentioned in the introduction, upgrade it directly to 2.0. We have a dashboard with Sylius 1.14 version, and now we would like to upgrade it to Sylius 2.0. First of all, we will need to upgrade our composer requirements. Therefore, I will upgrade our Sylius requirement to 2.0. In the default Sylius, we have three other plugins that are pre-installed: Bolly, PayPal, and Adyen. And in Sylius 2.0, by default, only Molly and PayPal are required. Therefore, I will allow myself to delete Adyen and upgrade major versions of both plugins. That should be enough to see if we can even install the project. Let's go to the terminal. Let's call composer update with all dependencies and see what will happen. Okay, of course I made a too high bump over the PayPal version, so I just bumped Molly by one major, PayPal by one major, and now we still have a problem with PHP spec. For the sake of simplicity, I will just remove PHP spec dependency so we can move forward and then tackle the PHP spec integration later on. Now let's upgrade again. Okay, as you can see, it's sorted, so we are upgrading all the required packages to the bare minimum. By default, Composer and Symfony Flex will ask you if you would like to auto-configure the packages that are included and are new in your project. So I will say just yes to all of them. And we have another error, which is okay. Error by error, we'll try to hammer them down and see the end result of working 2.0. Now, first of all, one of the libraries that were removed in between versions in the major jump is a polyfill of a Symfony security bundle. So let's look for it in the bundle.php. Okay, it will be faster if I will just open the file. As you can see, it's still here, but it's not installed anymore. Therefore, we are free to remove that. Let's run bin console cache clear again. Now, another error is with PayPal plugin. What happened with the PayPal plugin is that this part of the namespace of resources has been removed. If we will open PayPal plugin folder in our vendor folder, you can expect from the path that previously all the configuration was placed here in the resources folder, which is a default old version of plugins, or it's a legacy way how to configure any plugin. Now this file or these folders and this file is not present anymore. With the current, the modern version or the modern way of configuring anything in Symfony world is to have separate folder of config in the root of the folder. Therefore, this configuration was moved here as it was done as a part of the major version bump. Therefore, backward compatibility breaks were possible. Here in the config folder, we should have our config YML. You can see that the file extension is correct this time, so we can just replace that. So instead of this configuration, we will have this configuration. Let's cache clear again. Another thing that has changed between versions is the removal of JMS serializer on behalf of Symfony serializer. This package is no longer with us. In this case, I can also remove all of the configuration. Here, the easiest way will be to just simply remove the file. Therefore, I can just remove it safely. Now, let's move on to the next version. Next one is Sylius Refund. It was pre-installed with the previous Sylius. So in our case, we can just remove it as well. Refund. Let's move on to another bug. We have another issue or another error that the child config security under Payum must be configured. If you would like to know where such a things came from, it always comes from the configuration tree of given bundle. In our case, if it's a Payum, we know that if it comes from the bundle, it's a Symfony bundle. Therefore, I can look for the Payum bundle. Let's check Sylius Payum bundle. We are deeply in the vendor folder. Let's go to the Payum bundle whole folder in Sylius. Let's check the dependency injection and the configuration. We should see requirement. It's not here, so let's check Payum bundle of the Payum itself. In dependency injection folder, in mine configuration, you will see that previously the security array that array node is needed, is required. We have to configure. Now, the change that is required is include Sylius Payum bundle, which should have it configured. Let's check it. What would be the easiest way to debug stuff like this would be to, on the pure Sylius 2 version, look for bin console debug config of Payum. Usually, debugging this configuration is easier if the keys are much more generic. In our case, looking just for Payum or security can be like looking for the needle in the hay of stack. Therefore, I can just look for the token storage of or this class, check where it is configured, or just token storage, and learn that it is part of the Sylius Payum bundle. What we are missing, and what I try to show you, is how to also debug and think about the debugging in Sylius. What we'll need to do is to add, rather, it will be better if I will this way. Payum bundle, resource config, app config, which is still the way how these Sylius bundles are configured. And now let's see the result of my changes. Of course, the missing piece was that the config is with the YAML, and some of the configuration are still without it. So let's add A in the name. Great, we just move forward to another bug. This time we are lacking gateway config. Gateway config, which is a class that is not configured anymore in the Sylius resource, which means that we can easily remove it. And even if we will check the gateway config in the new version of Sylius, we will see that now it's part of Sylius payment instead of Sylius Payum. This change, this is the change that needs to be addressed. So the best solution would be to move this class above to Sylius payment. Now let's check if that allows us to move forward. Yes, that's true. Another bug that we can see in the command line is the traits that are missing from the add-in plugin. Let's open the class that contains them. You can see missing part here and here. We can just comment them out for the sake of the simplicity and move on to the next bug. Okay, another problem that you can see is that we cannot modify protected set read-only property of Doctrine mapping. This bug is related to the version of the Doctrine ORM. So if we'll run composer show version of Doctrine, we'll see that our Doctrine by default should be upgraded to the version 3.6.2. From version 3.6, this is where this option was configured. Therefore, the downgrading this package to version 3.5 should fix our problem. So if we'll just run composer require Doctrine ORM with tiled 3.5.0, and in this notation of Composer, it means that we will not bump any version above defined, therefore only the last number, so patch version, can be upgraded. In the comparison to Tilt, which would upgrade us to the next, which will allow upgrades to the next major. We want to stick to version 3.5 for now. Therefore, this is the required fix. Okay, and we just move on to the next problem. Let's try old-fashioned way of solving such issues. And as you can see, we just move on to another problem, this time related to the annotations. What you could see a few seconds ago when I struggled, or actually when I contemplated why we have the same error, was that just the cache was not properly cleared. Therefore, just hard removal of it is a proper solution. As you could see, that did work and move us to the new option. Now, this problem that you can see right now on the screen is related that the many of the plugins right now still contains the annotation version of mappings, which was left there for the sake of the simplicity. Doctrine already moved on and removed them. Therefore, because of the annotation usage of the Symfony, we may see this kind of error. The simplest, again, solution for that would be to remove support for them, enabled false, and let's move on. Sorry for the typo, it should be annotations. Okay, and we move on to another kind of errors. First of all, we have a duplication of int extension, which should be pretty straightforward with looking for it inside of the on our folder. Okay, it's already registered. Okay, in twig yum, we can just remove it as it's already registered. And another problem is with the PayPal plugin. Again, it corresponds to the migration in the PayPal plugin from the old structure, the new structure. Therefore, if you open PayPal plugin folder again, in the legacy version of the Symfony configuration, all the routes were configured in the folder resources, and then in config admin routing, the modern version of the configuration of the Symfony is to place all of that in the config folder, in the routes folder. As you can see, we have admin routing and admin shop and webhooks are moved to the routes folder, and that would be next few errors that we need to fix. Let's look for it. What we need to do is to synchronize these paths. Therefore, I will remove resources, add routes, and move it to the admin folder. Let's see if it has the proper ending. As you can see in the routes, we also add that there is also an A added to the YAML extension. So we also need to add A here. And let's already do it for the rest of the PayPal paths. So we need to go to the shop, and then there will be also the case here, and to the webhook. Okay, should it be enough? Let's see the next error. Okay, once again, the legacy of Sylius refund bundle. For the sake of simplicity, let's remove it. Okay, this time we are importing Payum YML configuration. It was a part of the Sylius shop bundle, but it was moved to the Sylius payment. It's not part of Sylius payment, but rather Payum bundle. And what this file contained is the configuration of notify, capture, and authorize paths of the Payum. Therefore, what we need to do is to change the Sylius shop bundle configuration to Sylius Payum bundle. Let's look for it. It's Payum bundle resources routing integration Sylius shop. Let's check if we do not have any duplicates of that. Nope. So it should be okay. Okay, apparently typo. Yes, the missing A. As you could see, it's just a typo, missing A. Let's see another problem, and it's still not this one. So let's try to open the file. Remove that part, and now we should be sure about the proper configuration. If anyone's green to the screen that I made the typo and it was obvious for you, that's what happens in every horror movie. But luckily, I move on. Now, another problem is Sylius PayPal plugin with the webhook routing that I was already looking for. Let's change it. So again, we are removing resources, and instead of routing, we have routes and webhook YML. Let's move on to another bug. Finally, no more bugs in the cache clear folder. If we would open a browser and refresh the website. Now, as you can see, I am on the 2.2 version of the Sylius. We see that we moved from not working version to the working one, but we still do not have an UI. And now the quickest and dirtiest solution would be to find package.json and duplicate the content of Sylius 2.0 and paste it here. Let's run npm update. Okay, and once the npm packages are updated, let's run npm run build, which of course by default will not work. What we need to fix is also webpack config. And running this should give us another error, because what we are doing when we are upgrading between version, we do not have pre-configured folders and files, as we have here the composer.json. Therefore, I will take the composer.json name. And here, as you can see, we need to comment out parts which assumes that there will be some folder with some content. It will happen for both shop and admin. Now, let's run build again, this time with success. And now if we refresh the website, we can see the new form, still without logo, but we can log into the store and see upgraded version of Sylius 1 to 2.0. To conclude this short episode, that's why we invite you to go with the upgrade journey or experience the upgrade path of Sylius 1 to 2 with us, because even if I did it for the empty project without any dependencies, it still required several steps or even tens of them, and plenty of errors were as simple as missing A, moving the configuration files, etc. It's much easier if you know exactly which files are missing or where they were moved. And of course, it should boost your upgrade time. Therefore, if you find this content useful, please subscribe. More information will be added soon, where we'll be migrating state machines, templates, etc. Also, I invite you to sign up to our landing page, where we will be sharing with you our offline resources, how to upgrade peacefully and how to reduce the cost and the risks related to the upgrade itself. Thank you very much for your time with me. I hope that it was useful for you, and see you in the next one. Bye.